Have you ever found yourself perplexed by seeming contradictions in the Bible? Today we delve into a fascinating comparison and contrast of two such verses, Matthew 7:21 through 23 and Romans 10:9 coupled with Romans 10:13. It's a journey that will take us through the labyrinth of translation, interpretation, and understanding. In the book of Matthew, verses 7:21 through 23, we find a stern warning. Not everyone who calls Jesus Lord will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only those who do the will of God. This passage, bolstered by 1 John 3:4, which states that sin is lawlessness, implies that a mere confession of faith isn't enough. There's an emphasis on obedience, on living a life in accordance with God's laws. On the other hand, Romans 10:9 and Romans 10:13 convey a seemingly different message. These verses suggest that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Furthermore, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. These verses emphasize faith and confession as the path to salvation. At first glance, these messages appear drastically different, almost contradictory. But is that truly the case? Consider this. In the original Greek from which the New Testament was translated, Lord translates to Master. It's a title applied to God. Now, take this understanding and apply it to Matthew 6:24, which states that no one can serve two masters. But instead of money as the other master, what if we substitute self? Suddenly, the verses align in harmony. If you believe Jesus is your master, you will not serve yourself. Conversely, if you choose to serve yourself over God, Jesus isn't your master. To call him so would be a mistake. This interpretation doesn't suggest a contradiction, but rather a misunderstanding. As 2 Peter 3:16-17 cautions, Paul's words, while valid, can be hard to understand. Misinterpretations can lead to lawlessness and fall from secure positions. So the crux of the matter isn't about choosing between obedience and confession, but rather understanding that a true confession of Jesus as Lord inherently involves serving God over self. It's not a question of either or, but of and both. To confess Jesus as Lord is to live a life of obedience to God. In our journey through these verses, we've discovered that the Bible's messages, while sometimes seemingly contradictory, can harmonize beautifully when we delve deeper into their meaning. We've learned that a confession of faith is not just about words, but about a life lived in obedience and service to God. As always, the Bible invites us not just to read, but to understand, interpret, and apply its teachings in our daily lives. Don't forget to bless that like button and throw a subscribe our way. To learn more about what it means to follow Jesus, click this video, in which we go over the belief of the early church as shown in Ephesians 4.